Important message, but it's one that's kind of going to be hard to get just your first time through and see every bit of it. So rather than just sit down and break every little one down step by step, more looking at it in an abstract term or just an overall term. And what I'm talking about is symbolism and symbols. Because once you learn to read the world in symbols and symbolism, it completely changes almost everything. So to start, symbol. We all know what a symbol is, right? What's a symbol? Okay, other than a drum symbol. Yeah, I knew you'd say that.
An image.
It's something that represents something from a shape or a form, right? A marker character used as a conventional representation of an object, function, or process. Letter or letters standing for a chemical element or a character in a musical notation, you know. If you're ever looking at music, how do you know what that little line means, what key to hit and stuff? Because it's a symbol. So a thing that represents or stands for something else, especially a material object representing something abstract. So that's kind of what we're going to look at here. So familiar symbols that we see every day. So a lot of you guys will probably notice these. A lot of you guys will maybe notice some, right? These are symbols, and they're used all around us to denote everything. You can't have just the word for everything on your phone screen. It would take up your entire screen and stuff. That's why they use symbols. Vehicle manufacturing, for example. You got Ford, Chevy, all these different symbols. Some symbols just to even direct you, to help you, right? Like a dog park. Careful, there's deers crossing. Lookout towers, no smoking. Bus stop signs. The symbols are all around us, but when you see it, you automatically associate it with something. Normally it's the picture of that something. But symbolism is what that's called. Like when you see it, a sign of a bus, you recognize, oh, this is where I'll stop and wait for a bus will come and pick me up. That's the symbolism connected to that symbol. So the use of symbols to represent ideas or qualities. An artistic and poetic movement, here's where it gets a little different, or style using symbolic image or indirect suggestions to express mystical ideas, emotions, and a state of mind. So, for example, what's that first symbol right there, Hunter? The one on the far left.
Batman?
How do you know? It doesn't say anything about a Batman on it. You just know that's what it is, right? That's the symbol. So what's the middle one, Ezra?
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man, right? How do you know, though? It's just a spider. It could be anything.
Superman.
Right.
Last.
And then Ezra's going ahead and spoil the next one for Superman. Thanks. So, yeah, all these kids know these symbols without even hearing the word, knowing what it means. So they're automatically, their brain's associated with it. And they're associated with not only just Batman himself, but everything they've ever seen about Batman, everything they've learned, every game they've played, every movie they've watched. They can associate it with just that symbol. Same with Spider-Man, same with Superman. So, here's another one. You guys ready? A little bit confused, but the kids aren't. All right. What's the first one? Snapchat. There we go, right? Hunter, what's the middle one? TikTok. Yeah, some of y'all heard of that. So, Ezra, what's the last one? What's the last one?
Tinder?
How do you know what the last one is? That was a trick question. Yeah. I was wondering if somebody would get that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you failed that test. Way to go. I knew somebody would do that. But anyway, they have all these associations with these symbols and stuff. And you guys don't even know it. You're oblivious to it, a lot of you are. But they don't. They know it. So that's the importance of symbolism. For those of you who don't know, that last one there is a dating app where you go on to meet boys and girls online and meet up with them. So, 18 and older supposedly, but I guess not, right? But so this is the symbolism that's attached to it, the familiarity to everything. So what are some Christian symbols? And don't jump me for this because there's not that many of them, so we're going to use all of them. So we have the cross. Crosses everywhere, right? When you look at them. Every church. So when you're driving by and you see a cross, immediately you know something Christian associated with that place. It might be a church. It could just be a Christian associated building. The Jesus fish on the back of a lot of cars, kind of a decoration and stuff, right? You know where the Jesus fish kind of started? Why they use fish? Where that came from? Where?
Back in the olden days.
they weren't allowed to say if they were Christian or not, so they would, when they meet somebody new, they would write a half moon. And if the other person finished it, made the fish, then they knew that they were Christian.
Right. So
You remember that?
a lot of different like the notions of the fish, but that's one that I've heard too. So back in the day, and remember this because this gets really important and toward the end of the lesson. Back in the day, you couldn't just say if you were Christian or not, right? So they would write, some people would write either a half moon, which is the top half of it, and then if somebody else came, they would write the bottom half. They knew they were Christian. It was kind of like a code, a little secret symbol, right? Nothing special about a fish, but it meant Christian if you knew what it was standing for. Another one I've heard, they would get a fish and kind of wherever its head was pointing, you could go that way to find familiar Christians and stuff. It's kind of why they use that, coming from the miracle of Jesus with the fish and everything. Then you have an upside down cross. A lot of people view that as bad. Some churches actually take it as St. Peter's cross, because as we heard, it's not biblical, but through Christian history, he was hung upside down on a crucifix, right? So that's a risky one. I probably wouldn't use that one too much if I was a Christian. But so you have the Bible symbol or the Bible app. So if you have a Bible app, it's probably what it looks like, top right corner. The dove just symbolizes from Noah's Ark. Alpha and Omega, some more Greek symbols. IHS, not a huge fan of that one. That's a little bit Catholic and stuff and other things. Chi Rho is more. All churches from all around the world use different symbols and stuff, right? But when you see these symbols, and if you are a Christian, you're going to pop into your head, okay, I'm either in familiar territory or, oh, these are those Christian guys, right? So what about some satanic symbols? A lot are very, very obvious. Just when you see these, St. Peter's cross even, again, there you go. I probably wouldn't use that one. You know to kind of, hey, something's weird about that. If you walk in a church and see these kinds of symbols everywhere, you're probably going to be like, ooh, I think I'm in the wrong kind of church here, right? But the symbols didn't have to tell you anything. They didn't have to write out, this is the upside down cross, ha 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 ha, or anything. It's just it's kind of making fun of it. So what about some controversial symbols that we see today everywhere? Yeah, here we go. Put them on flags and stuff, right? So first you got the rebel flag. Alabama just had to change its flag, or Mississippi, I forget which one it was. Just had to change their state flag because it had that on it. Gets a lot of hate, like you lost, get over it, blah, blah, blah. But it's not necessarily, not defending it, I'm not promoting it. But to some people it doesn't mean, oh, we went and took you over, or, oh, we love slaves still, here's our flag. But to other people, they see it and they kind of take offense to it for good reason, maybe because they're like, hey, you guys did all the bad stuff back in the day, just from things they've heard. Another one is the communism flag, or the Soviet flag, we'll call it. Sickle and a hammer to represent communism. You're starting to see that pop up everywhere. The Nazi flag. This is it was one of the Reich's flag. It was like the main Nazi flag they used for the military. Had the swastika in it and everything, right? Then you have the Jolly Roger, just the pirate symbol, I guess. Pirate ships would get kind of close under a false flag, raise that flag. But the reason they would do that, they wouldn't just be like, ha ha, we tricked you, we're pirates. When they do it in the moment, it would kind of be throwing the flag up, and the other boats that were expecting them to be either friends or another, flying under a good flag, trade ship, once they seen that flag fly up, once the ship was really close, they'd usually surrender without a fight. So that's how they got around not having to fight every ship they went on, just fear tactic, right? So the thing about symbols is, though, when you look at all these different flags, when you break them and dissect them apart, it's not really that bad. So take the Soviet flag, the communism flag. So if you didn't know anything about communism, you've never seen that flag before in your life. Let's say you're sitting around like, what's our flag going to look like? And you're an old school, just hardcore dude. You'd see this and be like, yeah, a hammer, it represents hard work, A sickle represents farming. Let's build a society based on hard work and farming. Doesn't sound so bad at all, right? But once you see that flag and everything it's been associated with, now you represent it with communism and something different. Take the swastika, for example. A lot of Buddhists and everywhere else, they claim this flag is like, oh, it's been around forever, it's peaceful, it means peace. And you can even go to some churches that were way predated the Nazis and stuff. They have the swastikas up, different archways and everything. Doesn't mean that they were all Nazis. Where it kind of comes from is that's how when back in the day you would look at the stars, you could kind of tell what season it was or when to plant your crops because of where the Big Dipper was around the North Star. And it formed kind of a swastika. They got a little weird about it and started making it into a symbol, making it peaceful and everything. But that's kind of how it originated. Not evil, not really bad at all. But when you see that now, you associate it immediately with Nazis, and it has the bad stigma from it, the bad symbolism now. So, why even use symbols? Well, symbols are powerful because they are rich in meaning. They have many aspects and forms. Their relationship with things they represent are complex. And usually the more complex and hidden and secret, like the fish thing that the symbol is, the more power it's going to have behind it. The more stronger the relationship between that and that symbol. So, symbols. Let's just take the serpent. Millions of different symbols I could use, but the sixth one's familiar. So the serpent, this is in Genesis, was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree in the garden. And the woman said to the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. So eventually the serpent said to the woman, You shall not surely die if you eat of this tree, like God said. She did it. Bad move, she went against God because the serpent tricked her, right? He was more cunning. And the Lord God said unto the woman, What is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And the Lord God said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust thou shalt eat for the days of thy life. So he cursed the serpent for deceiving man and woman. So later on, biblically, let's jump to Numbers. And the people spake against God and against Moses. This is after Moses led them out of Egypt into the wilderness. Wherefore have you brought us up to Egypt, out of Egypt, to die in the wilderness? And for there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loatheth this light bread, hateth this light bread, the manna, the bread that they got to eat from God. And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much people of Israel died. So don't go against God, because he'll make snakes rain on you and stuff if you really curse them like they did. But therefore the people came to Moses and said, We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord, and he take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. And the Lord said unto Moses, Make thee a fiery serpent, and set it upon a pole. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. And Moses made a serpent of brass, put it on a pole, and it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. So God actually used a serpent, a fiery serpent, as a symbol. And he put it up on a cross, and it had healing powers to it from God. That if you got bit by a snake and you looked on it. So it seems kind of odd, God will be using a serpent to have power and all that, right? But when you think about, and again, dissect it, what it means, it's just a serpent on a stick. But when you look at that, they were reminded of, yeah, we cursed God back in the day, and he sent a bunch of snakes, and this is his mercy and his way out of it. That was a symbolism attached to it at that time. Let's fast forward again to 2 Kings. So now it came to pass in the 3rd year of Hosea, son of Elah, king of Israel, Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. 25 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did that which was right in the spirit of the Lord, according to all that David his father did. He removed the high places and brake the images, and cut down the groves, and brake in pieces the brazen serpent that Moses had made. So why would he break a serpent that God told Moses to make to heal people of snake bites and stuff? Well, for unto these days the children of Israel did burn incense to it and called it Nehushtan. So God made this symbol, made it to, hey, when you see the snake, remember me, remember who's healing you of all this, remember what you did for me to tell you to make that. But over time, they spun it, started worshiping it, named it, burning incense to it, and making it kind of a god in of itself, right? So he trusted in the Lord God of Israel, so that after him was none like him unto all kings of Judah, nor any that were before him. For he clave to the Lord, departed not from following him, but kept his commandments, which the Lord commanded Moses. So this is an example of a symbolism being created with one intention, spun and taken out of and made into something bad again, and then God broke it. Same thing with the Soviet symbol, same thing with the swastika, everything like that. So, what the symbol represents, the serpent, a sly, treacherous person, especially one who exploits a position of truth in order to betray it. You guys know any serpents? Any people you would consider just like untrustworthy, snake in the grasses type people? I know a couple of them that I would trust to save my life, but around the globe, the serpent carries potent symbolism. Ever since Eve's transgression in the Garden of Eden, snakes have been associated with lies, evil, and temptation. So, 2 Corinthians, but I fear, lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through its subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is Christ. So, this is kind of talking about how easily we're corrupted by smaller things, kind of as the serpent beguiled Eve. Like, we're still susceptible to that, because Jesus is simple. Jesus' message is simple, like, hey, look, here's a book, kind of do what I say. Your life's going to be amazing if you do it. I don't know why you guys don't. And then you get to come and live in heaven forever. I came, I died for you, I loved you. Easy as that. You know, some people have a lot of questions and make it complicated, but the serpent beguiled them, right? So, speaking of serpents, where do we see serpents using symbolism now? A lot of places, right? So, anybody ever seen that symbol before? Every medical office ever that you go into, maybe? That's called the caduceus. It's a winged rod with double serpents used as a representative symbol of medical professions worldwide. Now, of all the things, when you were coming up, like, what symbol should we use for our medical stuff? Would they pick a rod with serpents on it? Almost as if they read the Bible and kind of knew, right? Just to go against it. Medical Corps of the Army, same thing. Marines, same thing. Physician's office, doctor's offices, you see it everywhere. What about this one? Just a single rod with a snake wrapped around it. That symbol look kind of familiar to everybody? Right there on the back of every ambulance, that in every country, everywhere. So, what about this one? Might be a little bit different for some people. Y'all ever seen this one? You need a hint? So that's their official medical symbols for pharmacist. Yes, the chalice of Helios or something like that. So, of everything you could use to represent snake and serpentry and just evil and cunning and deception, they would pick the snake for every bit of it. So you see this everywhere. The American Medical Association, stick with a snake around it. The every medical thing ever, again, that's the one we talked about at first. But it's not just here in America. Worldwide, the Asian Society for Emergency Medicine, same symbol. Look at every country's medical, all has that same symbol. Worldwide. Speaking of worldwide, the World Health Organization has a big stick with a snake wrapped around it, right in the middle of it, over the globe. So, speaking of globes, United Nations, World Health Organization. Kind of familiar, isn't it? So, will symbols hurt me? I know that. Some of all went to the doctor, I've went to the doctors. We take medicine from pharmacists and everything. So, in Psalms 130, out of the depths have I cried unto thee, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let thine ears be attentive to the voice of my supplications. If thou, Lord, shouldest mark iniquities, O Lord, who shall stand? If I have to watch out for symbolism everywhere, have to take all our clothes off and burn them, all of our shoes, I'm sure they have something weird associated to them. You know, we can't shop anywhere because everybody's got a weird symbol and everything. We're just out to get anything. We can't drive our cars because I'm sure those symbols might mean something weird, or you can make it into something weird. So who shall stand? But there is forgiveness with thee, that thou mayest be feared. I wait for the Lord, my soul doth wait, and in this world do I hope. Hope, looking forward to something good, opposite of fear. So dangers of symbolism, we hear this here a lot. So now I beseech you, brethren, symbolize them, which cause division and offenses contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them. Revelations. The rich, poor, free bond receive the mark in their right hand or on their foreheads. It's a symbol. You're going to either accept it or you're not. Same thing. And no man might buy or sell save he have the mark or name of the beast or number of his name. So you got 3 options you can take there, even if you don't get the mark. And here's wisdom. Keep going on. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out with the mixture into the cup of his indignation. You keep going. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever. They have no rest day or night, those who worship the beast in his image or who receive the mark of his name. A little bit more to describe it. So, after he poured, there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and which worshipped his image. And when the beast was taken, with him the false prophet, and wrought miracles before them, with which he deceived them that had received the mark, and that worshipped his image. You get it when you're reading Revelation. It's just, don't take the mark. Don't take the mark. Hey, this is going to be really bad. You're going to have wrath poured out if you take the mark. Take all this, right? So, decisions. If you Google right now, just mark of the beast, just mark of the beast. Hit enter, go to images, it's all microchips and stuff. Like, not one image can I find something like this. I had to finagle the words a little bit. I'm not saying it's microchips. I'm not saying it's not either. I'm not saying everything's kind of pointing at it. It's being really suspiciously, like, I'd be surprised if it wasn't, but I don't really know officially that it is. But it's something in your right hand or in your forehead. And a lot of people agree with just that. So, you can take the mark of the beast, live in your dystopian society. There will be a lot more rainbow flags than this, though. I promise. So, somebody said that I was aware the future would be this crazy and dystopian, but I was not prepared for how unrelentingly gay it was going to get. Thought that was kind of funny. And then, you live peacefully for a while, and you go get thrown into a lake of fire and brimstone. Doesn't sound too fun, does it? Or you can reject the mark of the beast, as I know a lot of us will, and I hope a lot of us will. But when you reject the beast, you're going to be living like this. You're going to be poor. You're going to be hungry. You're going to be cold. You're going to be put in cages maybe. You're going to be wrangled up into camps. People are going to be laughing at you, calling you an idiot, calling you stupid. Your friends are going to try to coerce you. Why not just come over to this side? Why are you still messing with that Christian stuff? But then, when they get cast into fire and brimstone, oh yeah, we might die too. That's always an option. I'm pretty sure we're going to die, but first it might get a little weird before that. But then we get to go and rule and reign with Christ for 1,000 years, and then the rest of eternity, assuming we don't mess that part of it up. So, pretty simple choice, I thought. But again, that's not on me to make a choice for all of you. That is your choice. So if this ever comes up, I hope that you make the right one. So, somebody can turn me off. Jenny? And then we'll get into something else.